I hope that the recording is of use, and if not, do drop me an email. My email address is in the slideshow, and yeah, quite happy to discuss offline more use of this module. So thanks very much, and I'll sign off. Cheers.
Sorry, just jumping back in there, we seem to have lost audio. Austin, are you still there?
I am still here, Julian. Sorry, have I misinterpreted your introduction as
sorry,
I won't be holding this?
Oh no, my apologies. My introduction is meant to be a very nice, welcome introduction and passing the floor to you and allowing you to start your presentation. I love my professional nature.
On that note of such confidence and start, then I shall...
let's try that again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. This is Austin Sinclair. He'll be your presenter for the day. He knows stuff, he knows things, he's very good. Austin, over to you.
Thanks very much, Julian. Alrighty, hey, well, look, thanks for tuning in. We're up to 6 now, so definitely worthwhile. So what I'd like to do is take you through a case study of how inland revenue in particular uses the face-to-face module. I presented last year on an aspect of this, how we do our level 1 evaluation. And the feedback from that presentation was too technical, too many screenshots of how you do things and not nearly enough about why. So this is very much a case study, and I hope you'll find this of value. It is very much corporate focused, and then Revenue is not a private education company, as you can probably guess. So in terms of use in academic sense, it'll be up to you how much you can interpret. But certainly in terms of an understanding of how others live, I think this might be quite useful. So let's crack on with what inland revenue is. We're New Zealand's tax department. 5,500 staff. Interesting, about 1/3 of our people don't do tax. They do other things that are money related. Student loans, child support, KiwiSaver, which is our national retirement scheme, and there's a few other things like levies and bits and pieces we've accumulated. The thing that is probably most important about us is that we do stuff that change a lot, and our customers aren't very tolerant of mistakes that we make. And as a result, our training cycle tends to have 3 phases, and it's spread over many years. So it's, what's going to happen, and people adjust their tax-paying behaviours when it's being transacted and people are actually paying or being paid, and then the follow-up for people who, say, chose to avoid the first 2 steps. We don't have any external training providers for our core work. Everyone who writes about tax tends to be the opposite side of the coin from our focus. And we use our internal stuff tend to be delivered by internal subject matter experts, so they're not delivered necessarily by trainers. They're people who know what they're doing, not necessarily know how to train. So our L&D practice as a whole can be described as stubbornly attached to stuff built in-house, delivered in a classroom by a staff member. So of our LMS journey, we launched a Moodle 1.6 in 2006, moved to 1.8 and a disastrous experience with Oracle database, and then to 1.9 and back to the bliss that is Postgres. We have a single LMS and it hosts all training, including external offerings. So when our staff wish to buy a seat at another course, say, some people development stuff or presentation skills, or even different languages for some of our people who deal with customers overseas, they book through our LMS to discover these opportunities. All face-to-face training is booked through the LMS, so we've really committed to this module, and we're quite busy. As you can see, 81% of our staff visit each month. and they're in quite a lot. But you'll notice that they're not in cumulatively for very long. So if you look there on a busy month, the average might be 55 minutes for the month. So it suggests that they're browsing and they're making commitments to book on seats and that sort of thing, rather than necessarily doing a lot of learning itself in the LMS. And we've got a lot of courses, 7,500, 2,700. We are using now the Totra distribution of Moodle. So this is a series of customizations and new modules built on top of Moodle 1.9, and we've been an early adopter, which is uncharacteristic for our organization. While the face-to-face module, which I'm about to talk about, is a cool part of Totra, it is and was authored for Moodle, and it's a maintained module. I haven't put it in the slideshow, but got asked in the last presentation. There is a version for Moodle 2, but I don't think it's yet fully formed and released. There does seem to be discussion on the Moodle.org forums around a copy of it. There will be a proper Moodle 2.2 version when, frankly, the Totra people catch up with Moodle 2.2. Or 2.3 as it turned out to be. So coming back to our face-to-face module. So I said before we had 2,700 courses and 1,900 of them contain face-to-face instances. So you can assume from that the vast majority of our training is in person. The 1st of May there was nearly 2,500 upcoming sessions. I think that's increased. We've just had the budget announcement from the Minister of Finance last week, and so I suspect that would have now grown to probably 3,500 sessions. Last year 35,000 seats, would be on track this year to do 50,000, and just seems to grow each year. From a case study point of view, I just want to reflect on how we managed all this before we had an LMS. So like many organizations, we had highly variable, intensely manual, and very isolated to particular areas of the business that had training. I've been here in revenue quite some time, longer than I care to admit, and I remember the days of dozens and dozens of spreadsheets being maintained by lots of different people and being emailed and updating who your participants are going to be, and the general awfulness of trying to maintain records, find when courses will be available, what courses are available, find if there are any seats, and then try and get someone on it. It was hard. It worked, but as an L&D professional, I was spending more of my time on the ferreting out of resources in the business rather than figuring out what's the best resource for someone to go on. So when we moved to Moodle, we found it was a really good match for our online course offerings and the nature of how we do the business, but it didn't work for the majority of our training activity, this face-to-face stuff. And we looked at that face-to-face problem as two things. One, allowing staff to find good opportunities, and then the other, which was removing the administrative burden. Without speaking out of turn, it'd be fair to say that we can observe of our trainers, they may be subject matter experts, and they may even be quite good in a classroom, but as a rule, they are all pretty lousy at course administration. So we had a particular emphasis on making it very simple for the trainer. So we had a look at what Moodle could do. We had a good browse of the third-party modules. We were comforted by the academic strength that showed us in Moodle, and it also showed us the absence of a simple booking process for business use. So we commissioned a module. Careful note here to say that I can't take credit here. Our vendor, a Wellington-based Moodle partner, actually wrote the code. Another government agency co-funded and helped spec the process. And in 2007 it was launched. And it was pretty simple. You could book seats with up to a limit. But that's all it needed to be. And it was great. Staff, course owners immediately embraced it, and it grew like Topsy. And I think the big thing is for staff is that instant booking confirmation. You finally found a resource you wanted, awesome, and then you saw a date, and it worked with your schedule, and you booked. It was done. Staff loved it. For trainers, they immediately saw there was a reduction in their administrative load, and they kept using it after that point. So what did we get? So our classroom sessions, we tend to offer one session on something, say a particular aspect of a tax change, and we tend to have to offer pretty much the same training session across the country for lots of staff. And it's the lots of sessions that was a problem. do you mess up a course page by just making it a long list? Or do you make it an orphan on the course page where it's just a single link? So we opted for, right at the beginning, for a settable number that you can display on the page. So down the bottom here, I've got KCF, which is a knowledge CAF format, budget update for particular type of tax people. And it shows the next 6 sessions as the default. For some people, they set it to 2, and others set it to 12. Looks a bit ugly when it gets big. And when they click on the link down the bottom, view all sessions, they see all the sessions. This little preview bit you don't have to use, but it's well tolerated here. It only shows the upcoming sessions that have got seats available, and it's kind of cool. So this is the full list, and this I'm hoping will demonstrate how ugly a full list of courses would look if you had them polluting the course page. So here you can filter by region. This budget update, I think, has about 60 sessions. I can't remember off the top of my head. The ones that say VC in front of them, that's a virtual conference. Video conference. That's video conference for this one. And you can see we're getting some quite good numbers here, sort of 35 out of 45 and 42 out of 50. So there's, yeah, not in New Plymouth for some reason. So that was the view of how they see courses. When they click on the sign up button, they get a review of the session itself. And later they got this email stuff, but originally they just got this view of the session coming up, and then they would confirm. Once they'd click confirm, the course page would reflect no longer the available sessions, but the fact that they were booked. And one thing that we get asked about a lot when other agencies look is the see attendees link. So when you click on that, it shows you who else is going to be at your session. And I can't define any business benefit from that. However, our staff love it, and if we were to take it away, I think there'd be a great hue and cry. It's a very commonly clicked link. So obviously people are really nosy and seem to enjoy it and follow it through. So moving through to what we found. While it had tremendous growth, it also had an evil side to it, which was the no-show issue. People were booking but not fronting up. In our old manual processes, no-shows, not that we could report on it anyway, but no-shows weren't considered an issue. But online, some of our courses, it was really high, 50%, and this came to the light pretty quickly. And in hindsight, we realised that we had assumed that people having booked online would remember they'd booked, they'd put it in the calendar, they'd tell people they were going, and so if they were away sick or something, someone else would tell us they're not coming. And so that was an unfortunate lesson. So we very quickly tackled this and thought, okay, well, we're going to first of all do a series of emails. So when you book, you get a confirmation email, a copy that's going to go to your manager. You're going to get a reminder email, also a copy to your manager. So if you're away sick, the manager knows who to contact to cancel the booking. And when you've cancelled, we're going to send you an email and copy your manager. So there's that transparency in the process. We also, and this is the kicker, introduced a no-show fee of $75, which despite the many thousands of bookings and many hundreds of no-shows, we never actually used. The threat was sufficient. Later we added an appointment to the confirmation email and dropped the no-show fee. No-shows are pretty much solved. There's still a bit of it, but it's not very large. And the reason we comment on it is because it was a problem, and now we can measure it so precisely. So that's our no-show problem. The next thing we had is it wasn't immediately clear. It wasn't immediately who's your manager. Our organisation is highly structured, hierarchical. It's, an initial assumption of how the organisation would work would mean that you would think there'd be absolute clarity about who reports to whom. But unfortunately, that hasn't turned out to be the case. We've got so many secondments, dual reporting lines, we form project teams, we have people providing coverage for different types of responsibilities, and actually finding out who someone's manager and turned out to be really hard to do consistently. We've got it nailed now, we don't need to do this, but for the first few years we had to. So to address this, we have functionality in the module to confirm who your manager is. So if you've already booked a course and you've tapped in your manager's email address, you're just asked to confirm if it's correct, and if it's not correct, then asked to change it to it should be, and if it doesn't exist, then asked to enter it. and that seemed to work for us. The other thing is that the emails that go out aren't generic. They're quite personalised. So they use these square bracketed pieces of text to automatically populate with who you are, what's the name, if there's a cost, very rare, how long it is, what dates it's offered, building room, location, link back to the course page, how many days before the course will you receive a reminder. So you can see how you could build quite good quality emails that, confirming the booking around that. Very soon we got asked to solve another problem, which is for people who have offered courses who want to know if there's demand to add more sessions. And this wasn't immediately obvious how we'd handle this, because we've got lots of options. You could use a choice module, you could use a feedback module, you could probably even build a quiz to give you a sense of how many people are interested in the course. But all of those modules are separate from the face-to-face module, and they are disconnected from it. So if someone registers in a waitlist and then a dated session comes up and they book on it, they're still showing on the waitlist, and you have to reconcile those. So we opted to have a waitlist inside the face-to-face module and have it as an undated session. So it meant that a staff member could only book on the waitlist, and if they wanted to book on a dated session, they had to remove themselves from the waitlisting booking and that move on to a dated session. The downside, though, is that booking on a waitlist looks very much like booking on a real session that's being offered. So we built a new email message to confirm that you have registered on a waitlist and you have expressed an interest. It was not a commitment, you're expressing an interest. So it was a new email to the set. At the same time, another agency was dealing with a similar type of problem, but not the same. But unfortunately, in open source, it can happen. They called it the same thing. So their customization was a method of standby. So if a session was fully booked, they could then book or be in a queue, essentially, to take one of the seats should someone who's already booked cancel, which is kind of cool. And while we don't use this, we do allow our sites, our course owners to use it, and it's now called the allow overbooking option. We've cautioned against its use because we've found that cancellations tend to occur on the eve of a course, in which case there isn't enough time for the standby person to prepare, yet they're still booked in the seat which of a course they can't get to, and it's just messy. So our experience has been no one uses it, but it's a good idea. I want to come back to this idea of manager approval. We were sending emails to managers, but we were finding we were being asked about, well, why doesn't a manager explicitly approve this course? And this is complicated. Do you reserve a seat for someone while they're waiting for the manager's approval? Or do you hold off processing the booking until the manager approval is received, by which stage all the seats might be gone? I can't tell you how many hours we spent wasted in L&D as we struggled with this, but it was quite some effort. And in the end, by a majority, but not an absolute majority, we opted on the wait until approved model, on the assumption if the staff member's really keen, they'll keep prompting and kicking their managers to get it done. I suspect it wouldn't be hard to have that piece of functionality changed in your own site. It would just be a matter of looking for where the logic is in the code. Then we implemented manager approval. And this came with a manager email, an email to the manager saying that the course approval for the course has been requested and what you need to do. And as we used the face-to-face module more and our LMS became more central to course selection and access, we found that most course owners were beginning to drop this, and now it's not there at all. And I think the maturity here is that the email notification to the manager, so they have absolute visibility of a booking request and then a cancellation and the reminder that it's about to happen, is seen as sufficient. So in our environment, the manager approval process is no longer used, or not in this format. The other thing is manager approval is quite hard. We're asking for approval for the staff member to attend, but for some staff or some managers, they are immediately confused with this as financial approval, which introduces complexity around the course costs, catering and travel, and your finance section manages that. And we made the decision that we wouldn't want to replicate our finance system just to be able to approve the financial aspect of bookings. And having examined some finance systems that have had LMSs bolted onto them, we kind of view that there's not a success profile of doing that. I don't know if you can hear a vacuum cleaner in the background. It's early evening in New Zealand and our cleaners have moved in. I don't know if that's a problem. Trish, are you talking about the vacuum cleaner noise or about waiting for Moodle 2? No, you can't hear it. Hang on, I'll just see if I can ask them to go away. Hang on. Excuse me. I'm presenting online at the moment. Any chance you could vacuum out here? Thank you. Alrighty. Can you hear me now? Okay, so so the finance issues here. So this is a chestnut that comes up regularly for us. We get asked through the LMS to do a whole lot of financial approval stuff, and people saying, well, if you know about when the course is and who's going, can you run us a report about what it costs? And when it's purely the course fee, sure. But when it comes to the reality of, part of the reason we book centrally is so that we can achieve discounts by booking in groups and by making sure everyone applies their memberships. Our accountants make sure that they're accounting the New Zealand Institute of Chartered Accountants numbers used, and they get their discount as a result of their role. And the same with our Law Society people and our project people, Prince 2 people, they get discounts on certain courses. So we make sure all of that consistently happens. And yeah, but it's not the rest of the full financial package. How would you manage the catering and travel and accommodation with all different budgets? You would essentially be repeating our financial model. So that was finance, too much on. As we grew, we came across another issue, which was a good problem to have, the unexpectedly popular courses. And trainers and course owners sort of gave us a bit of a hard time about this, saying, how do we track how popular these courses are without revisiting the pages? So our initial attempt at this was to add a third-party email address to send out a copy of course confirmations. But if you consider a normal course scenario where you may have, 20 sessions are offered, and some of these sessions could be quite big, so, hold 30 or 40 people, you can imagine your inbox would just explode. It'd be like having an iMoot in your inbox. And so we've seen that most new people to the face-to-face module happily enter their email address to it and just as quickly remove it. But there was a good L&D practice behind it of, so how do you alert someone who's offering a session that has become full? And you want to tell them as soon as possible so that they can, be aware of this opportunity and add extra sessions if they're able to. So we added a new email called the capacity reach message, and it's sent to the course owner and the face-to-face host, which is another role we've created for those who can organise sessions. The downside of that is when the course is full and someone cancels and then someone books in, they get 2 capacity reach messages. But on the whole, they seem to be quite tolerant of that. And I guess in time, if we have more money, we might make that a bit more polished. So I'm hoping by now I've painted a picture of a lot of emails. This is the set of emails from the face-to-face module. I've included in here 4 emails on the other side of the training session related to our evaluation process. And they're in there because they only appear if you go to a face-to-face session, and they are pretty much part of the process, even though they're not part of this module. The waitlist appears as an invitation or registration of interest. The overbooking advice and the overbooking offer are set through the language files and are sent to those who are hoping that there'll be a space will come available in a full session. The manager approval emails, so when you book on something requiring manager approval, you get an email saying your manager has been asked. When the booking confirmation is made, you get a copy of that with an iCal event for your calendar. You get a reminder before the session, and should you choose to cancel, you get the cancellation. So it's a fair old number of emails. So if you put that together in the 35,000 bookings we had last year, we're pretty much spamming the organisation on a daily basis. but no one has complained that we are not doing the administration of courses. So in our level 1 evaluation, we ask, was there anything about the administration of the course that was a barrier? Forgive me, I can't remember the exact words, but essentially we score high in the administration, that people say they knew where they had to go, when they had to be there, what they had to do beforehand, and we attribute that, awful as it may be to send so many emails, to our email process. Right, so moving on to setting it up. The face-to-face module has grown like Topsy, and it hasn't been one of those modules that has been particularly well polished over time. So it's lacking good things like hint text about what values to put in fields. And we've taken the view that for most of our trainers who are already finding it hard enough to deliver sessions in person because they're subject matter experts, that we do this for them. It's not to say that it's impossible or particularly hard, it's just that the people who deliver training in our organisation tend not to be digital natives. And further to the module you'll get on Moodle.org, we've customised it further with linkages around our level 1, a calendar, a course completion. We do a whole lot of tagging for reporting. Our organisation lives and breathes on reporting. And then we've added a little hack about automatically marking attendance after a session for stuff that wouldn't normally. So it's getting a bit messy. However, once you've done one, it only takes a few minutes to add more. So our L&D people directly support trainers and do them. Perhaps in a future world, the module could be a little cleaner in its interface, and you'd place that back with even quite novice course owners. But at the moment, it's a bit messy, is our view. So one thing we do ask our trainers though is to look after the session. So I've got on the screen here what a trainer needs to do for their session. And a lot of what our trainers want to do is they want a printout of who's scheduled to attend and a reminder of where they're supposed to be. And then after the session, we ask them to mark attendance. We're having to do a lot of chase up over attendance. Some of our trainers just seem to rock up, deliver their session, and then go away, and that's their last thought of it. And going back to mark attendance just seems to be too hard, and we're finding that a bit of a hassle at the moment. And just a shameless plug here for our level 1. So once someone's been marked as attended, the staff member gets from the face-to-face module evidence of who their trainer was, which we find is quite useful moderating the responses and feedback we get. And also you can see what session they went to. So there's absolute clarity that the feedback that they're leaving is associated with their trainer and the session they went to. So that's an introduction to the case study, if you like, of the face-to-face module. I want to talk now about what it can't do, or what it doesn't do very well. It is really difficult to change a venue date or time when you already have bookings. Recognizing that this is really messy anyway, but the face-to-face module doesn't help in this, and this is something that needs to be sort of addressed at the end, or at some point. There's also no closeout period, so we accept bookings up until the minute before the session starts, and on the whole that's worked okay for us, but there are cases where it would have been really handy to close off bookings, a day or 2 days or a week beforehand, particularly if there's required activities to do before the session. The other issue we have is that we send an appointment to people's calendar, but we don't yet detect when they delete or decline it in their calendar, which would be really useful. Some of the thinking we've got around that is we know how to detect it, but we just don't have any code yet to do anything with that information. But really handy to be able to reassert the appointment in their calendar, saying, your booking is still valid. You can't delete this event until you've made a decision about the course that you've committed to. So we've got some work. There's some work to be done there. And there's only one template set for email messages. So 19 emails is a lot of emails to customize if your session isn't training and it's a conference or a seminar, sort of wading through those. So a template set would be really useful in terms of setting up courses more quickly. So let's talk about what we know is going to happen to this module. We know that the Totra folk have announced they've got room and resource and instructor conflict and bulk upload of attendees. I have to say I don't know what the first two involve. Maybe they've got some other clients who've got instructor conflict of issues. I'm assuming that's scheduling rather than interpersonal. But the bulk uploading of attendees is something we're really keen to see. Some of our courses, staff don't actually get to choose where they're going, they just get booked on it. And so being able to upload a list of people into a face-to-face session would be a very handy thing to have. It's not clear when they'll do this, but I would imagine we're looking within 12 months. I know that my colleague at another agency has done a customization to how things are displayed. Their organisation is highly regionalised, and so they don't give staff the opportunity to see courses in other regions. They can only see, sessions. They can only see sessions in their own region. If there's not a session in their region, they don't see any others, which is kind of cool in a way if you need to control that, particularly if you've got issues around people booking travel. For whatever motivation that may not be related to the training course that they're booking on. Now we've got some internal roadmap issues that we're looking at and we're funding, and in fact had planned to fund exactly this list today, but unfortunately we're unable to due to other commitments. So there's a workflow issue for trainers. We'd quite like to have the trainers have a PDF version of the attendees. Sounds awful, but sometimes we have to remind them of the lesson plan. So for some courses that would be in the email. We'd want them to have a list of attendees with where the people are from and their phone extension number, so that if they're absent, that's very easy to chase them up. And when their booking was made, so it'll give you a clue. If the booking was made yesterday and they're not here, then that doesn't sound right. But the booking was made 3 months ago, maybe they've forgotten or something. And also formatted to make sure the attendance is really easy to do. And we also want to build a series of post-course emails to chase up trainers to mark attendance and escalate to the course owner or maybe to the trainer's manager if they don't, because it's getting a little bit annoying now and it undermines our records of who's attended. Now, we had planned to do this. Other things, operations management in particular, got in our way, but with luck we'll tackle that in the next financial year, which starts on the 1st of July. Then we have something we are planning to do before the 1st of July, although there's quite a lot of work to be done here before it actually happens. And this idea of manager action. Our new commissioner, our chief executive, and our senior management team have gone through some change recently, and the new flavour is very much about making sure our leaders are accountable and being measured on the things that they're meant to be doing. And one of them is when a staff member is sent on an expensive course or conference, we want to ensure that there is a discussion with their manager before they go about why they're going and what they're expecting to get out of it and how they'll apply it after the course or conference. And then when they have been to the training session afterwards, they have a follow-up conversation with their manager about did the conference actually deliver what it was meant to, how they're going to apply it, and making sure they have the opportunities to do so. In our environment, it's not merely enough to say those words. We want to actually make sure it happens and track it. So the support for this activity is new emails to go to the manager saying, the course that your staff members booked has been identified as one of those expensive courses, and the requirement to have a pre and post conversation and a link for this manager to record when the meeting occurred and any notes from the meeting, and we'll have something helpful from us saying that this is tracked and reflects on them personally. And then after the course, the manager receives a summary of the staff members level 1 from the course, and also a copy of the pre-course notes, and again another link to record the date and time from it, and a various number of reports that supports that and makes it very visible to a manager if they haven't done it. So that's on the way. Right, so case study summary. What we learned. Face-to-face module was our first experience with open source. And we had to come to terms with all sorts of things. Paying for code, not owning it, was a red herring that comes up often enough. I think many people don't get open source. They get the idea that they can use it, and if they customize it, they don't get the idea they're sharing it. So that's been a bit of a barrier for us sometimes. Emotionally, I think we've been surprised when other organisations add bits and fix things. It's very weird for customization we've done to become mainstream and then see others improve it. It's a funny thing. And then probably the most important thing of the open source component is the realization that the customizations we make are really expensive to maintain ourselves. And if we can make them a little bit more generic and suit a wider number of people and they become the core module, then we don't have to maintain them as the various versions of Moodle grow. So it's become a practical necessity as we have a large number of customizations, and yeah, upgrades are a scary, scary thing. We also learnt that some classroom trainers are reluctant to move to an LMS, not just the face-to-face module, but to the LMS as a whole. Even though the tool, and particularly the face-to-face module, made their life easier, there's all sorts of things. Some people don't like change. Some are nervous about the lost control. But the thing that really surprised us is how many trainers did not want their courses to be discovered wider than the community in which they were providing the courses. And we came across that a lot. And we still do. I'm working with a group of people from one of our finance areas who don't want to share. They're just doing cool stuff about Excel and a particular type of Crown reporting. They just don't particularly want to share. And that's hard, and it's not really about the module, but it's indicative of the kind of challenges that we face. The other thing that we learned is that once a course owner starts using this, they start using it for everything. And I mean everything. We've had baby showers, we've had leaving functions. We recently downsized an office and they had the face-to-face module for writing a CV, farewell functions, and they even organised a post-closure of the branch session through it. So yeah, it grows like Topsy. Once someone gets, a trainer or a course owner gets used to it, they just keep using it, and we've been quite open about that. And I guess the big thing is that, as I said at the beginning, most of our training is face-to-face, and this tool has been the key for us in making our LMS relevant for staff and being the starting point for them finding their training and development opportunities. So for us, the face-to-face module has been a winner. So that's alrighty, my case study in a face-to-face module. Cool. Any sort of questions from how we've done this, or what we've done, or where we're going? I guess that would be a no. Well, I might call it quits here. I'll stay online for a little bit longer for any questions that come up in the chat. I'll invite you to email me through the iMoot site if you'd like to carry this conversation on a one-on-one basis, or any other material about the face-to-face module. Alrighty, well, thank you very much. Cheers. Good night.